Hello, welcome to our show. My name is Francine Scaboria. I'm the communications coordinator at Safe Berks. Safe Berks is a nonprofit located in Reading. We serve survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, and you can find more information about our services at www.safeberks.org. I want to welcome our guest. This is Melissa Haydt. She is a Vice President of the Children's Alliance Center of Berks County. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I had the pleasure of meeting you a few weeks ago when we were working together to present information to a church group. Yes. And I was really amazed by your experience serving children. Maybe you could just tell me a little bit about your career and how long you've been working to help children.
Okay. I've been in the field of child protection for 43 years. Wow. I worked for 28 years for Berks County Children and Youth Services, where I supervised the Sexual Abuse Investigative Unit. When I retired from there, I worked for 8.5 years for Family Life Services in Topton through Diacon, and I worked with survivors of child sexual abuse and domestic violence. And I did a lot of consulting work with churches and helped churches set up safe church policies.
That's great.
And then in 2012, I had the opportunity presented to me to become the vice president in charge of the Children's Alliance Center, which I took, and so I've been there for over 5 years now.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And can you tell me a little bit about the Children's Alliance Center and what you do? I believe, I know some things about it. I know some people call it the CAC.
Yes.
I've heard it called the CAC.
Yes.
And I do know that Safe Berks is very happy to have a close relationship with you and the CAC.
Yes.
As we work together to help children.
Yes.
Maybe just tell me a little bit about what the CAC does.
Sure.
Great.
What we do there primarily is to do the forensic interviews for potential victims of sexual abuse. Wow. We interview children between the ages of 3 and 18, and all of our referrals come from either law enforcement or children and youth services.
Okay.
So when we get a referral from them and we schedule the interview with the family, they bring the child in to our center. We're located on the 15th floor of the County Services Center.
Okay.
And when they come in, they'll find a very brightly colored and decorated facility with lots of Disney figures.
Oh, that's great.
And lots of colorful pictures on the wall to make everybody feel, more comfortable. And the forensic interview is basically a directed conversation with the child to, first of all, find out if in fact something did happen to them, and then if something did happen to them, try and find out the details about it. And the conversation, it is a directed conversation that goes through a number of different stages, but it's a very comfortable discussion. It's not, a forced discussion. It's not leading questions. It's just a regular conversation to try and find out information. And while this conversation is going on, it is being observed and listened to by law enforcement and or children and youth services, and sometimes a prosecutor in the observation room. So the forensic interviewer will interview the child until she feels she has exhausted, her line of questioning, and then she'll take a very short break and check in with the professionals and see if they have any other questions they want her to ask. And then she'll go back in and finish up the interview. The interview is audio and video recorded, and the professionals then get a copy of the DVD for evidence, if they need the evidence for going into court later on. But the CAC is very much a team approach.
Right.
We work very closely with law enforcement, children and youth, prosecution, the medical community, the mental health community, the victim advocacy community, which is what we have an MOU with your agency, with Safe
Right.
Berks,
Okay.
to provide the victim advocacy. But it's really a team approach, and the whole idea is that the child only needs to be interviewed one time.
Right.
Instead of, by all the different professionals. And also the hope of using this whole CAC and team approach is that it will increase the prosecution rate for sexual abuse cases.
Yeah, well, thank you for explaining that. And I guess it's so traumatic and
Can be.
sad that any child would be abused.
Yes.
And I guess part of what you've designed is, if the child was already, abused or potentially abused, being interviewed about it could be also problematic or traumatic for them. So you've limited the time they have to retell that to
Yes.
one time, instead of, like you were saying in the past, maybe that child would have needed to be interviewed multiple times by
Yes.
multiple agencies.
Correct.
So now they can just be interviewed one time, and that's great. And then the way you're trying to design it to be very child-centered or child-friendly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, because the child has already been through a very, very tough or traumatic time. So you've designed it in a way to make it as easy and friendly for the child as possible, with the Disney characters and a comfortable sort of a playroom kind of atmosphere.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And
that's
one of the
great.
other things we have available too are therapy dogs. So we have 6 different dog handlers with 10 different dogs, and they get our weekly schedule and they respond to us in terms of who can come to what particular interview. And the therapy dogs are wonderful in terms of easing the anxiety
Right.
for the child, for the family, and the professionals appreciate them too.
Right. So the dog would be there actually in the interview
No,
too, with the
no, only in the waiting room.
in the waiting room.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the dog always has to be with their handler,
Okay.
and they cannot be in the interview room
I see.
because of the confidentiality and the sensitivity of what we're talking
But
about.
before the interview and after the
Yes.
interview, then the child would get to interact with the dog.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
And
great.
sometimes the dog
Yeah.
walks the child back to the interview room.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. And for members of the public who would see this show, and maybe they have a concern that some child that they may know, they may fear that child is being abused, whether it would be a neighbor, someone they know through a church group, or a friend of a family member, what would be your advice for someone who thinks that something might be happening to a child that is abusive?
Well, if anyone suspects that a child is being abused, they should call Childline.
Childline,
Yes, which is the hotline in the state of Pennsylvania to report all cases of suspected child abuse. And that phone number for anyone interested is 1-800-932-0313.
Thank you. So that would start the process moving.
Yes.
To have someone investigate if that child's well-being.
Yes,
Wonderful.
that's correct.
Wonderful. And is calling that number, would that be the same thing a teacher would do if a teacher suspected that there might be an abuse situation with
Yes.
a child?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Either the professionals, there are certain people who are mandated to report, and those are professional people who work in an environment, where children are involved. And yes, they would either call Childline. There's also an electronic portal that folks can use too to report those cases too.
Great. And one other thing I was thinking that people in the public might want to know is, are there any kind of warning signs that a child may be being abused? Because I know that a lot of times abuse, whether it's an adult or a child, sometimes it can be very embarrassing, or people can feel ashamed, people can not know how to talk about it. So are there any signs to kind of just be aware of that a child might be in danger?
There are. Certainly, the one is that if a child tells you that they have been touched or violated in some way, I would have a tendency to believe them, because it's typically less than 1% of children who are lying about what may have happened to them. Most kids are telling the truth. Right. So, be aware of that. And then also, if there's a change in their behavior, like a significant change in the child's behavior, like in terms of being withdrawn, it could be acting out behavior, particularly acting out sexually. Another thing, if a child starts wearing a whole lot of layers of clothing to cover up their body, that could be a sign that they're being sexually abused. Also, poor hygiene.
Really?
If a child is starting to not take care of themselves, sometimes that happens in the hopes of them keeping the perpetrator away from them. So I'd be aware of that.
Thank you.
Also.
Thank you very much. And is there an approximate number of children in Berks County that the CAC works with in a year? Just a ballpark. Maybe.
We usually interview between 400 and 500 children a year. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's telling me that this problem is more common than a lot of people realize.
Very
that's
much
a lot
so.
of children. If you saw 400 children in one room, that would be a huge number of children. Mm-hmm. So I guess maybe the thing that I'm taking from that is that this is a big issue, and it's more common, and people need to be really aware of it and kind of vigilant about protecting children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a huge issue. And keep in mind, that number is just Berks County, and we have 67 counties in Pennsylvania, plus other states in the country. So this is just our little old Berks County, and we're seeing that kind of numbers.
And your service in this field has just been amazing. And I'm
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you, and I know everyone feels just so appreciative of what you've done in this field. And why is it that you work in this field? I mean, it's obviously a tough field to work in, but why have you chosen this work? Well,
the reason that I continue to work in this field is that because I feel if I can make a difference for one child, it's worth what I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone at Safe Berks really is on the same page with you, and that is our goal, is every one person we could help. Mm-hmm. What could people do if they want to help support the CAC? Is there anything you're looking for from the community?
Well, certainly, monetary donations are nice, because we're always struggling with, enough money to keep our agency going. So, that would be very helpful.
Great.
And, coloring books, crayons, toys, boy toys or girl toys for our waiting room, that's always nice too.
That's great. And can people help out by getting in touch with Opportunity House, because you're part of Opportunity House?
Well, they can. They can also call the Children's Alliance Center directly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So either way.
Yes, either way.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, I just want to thank you so much for your time and for 43 years of helping children. I mean, it's wonderful to have someone like you in the community that's looking out for children. And if anyone wants more information about Safe Berks, please contact us. We do serve men, women, and children. Anyone who is a survivor of domestic violence or sexual assault, we're here to help. And we work closely with Melissa and the CAC. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much. For more information about Safe Berks, check out our website at www.safeberks.org.